Hey guys, I'm here today. There's Gatsby right over back there. You see him? I'm here with my September empties. And this is quite honestly, most likely, the smallest empties I've ever done. You can see I only have one or technically two candles, a couple of melts, and then there's a little bit of beauty empties over there. So as always with my empties, if you are here just for the wax and the candles, I will go over those things first. And then if all you wanted to watch was the wax, at the end, at the last wax melt or candle, or I think I'll finish with the wallflower. At the end of the wax, I'll let you know when I'm done with those. You can X out of here. And then if you are curious about the beauty empties, they'll be right after the wax empties and you can stick around for those. So yeah. Anyway, let me just, before I get into it, I'll kind of give you guys the reason why there's so little here. Especially if you watch my empties. I mean, my empties are typically between like 20 plus and 30 minutes long. This is going to be nowhere near that. And it has everything to do with this move. Sorry, Gatsby's got to do a little shake and bake. So anyway, we, this month, the beginning of September, or maybe the second week, anyway, this month, my husband and I did list our apartment for sale. So what that means is I've really gotten a lot of stuff out of here. I want my apartment to look as empty as possible, give potential buyers where they walk through, you know, it's not just like, even though I'm still living here, and I know that the buyers know that, you know, obviously we're still living here. It's not like it's an empty apartment, but instead of having them walk in and see all of my stuff and, you know, like see my decorations and my things, like as you can see, I usually have my Vitamix blender over here. That's gone. Like everything on my kitchen counters has been taken away. I thought wax warmer is going to go away when I was showing later today. So I want buyers to walk in and like really just kind of picture themselves in my apartment. Like my furniture is still here, like things like that. There's a little bit of stuff in my closet, you know, to give them an idea of where they can put things. But I want them to have the freedom to imagine their lives here. And also, you know, I get really attached to things, and you know, this was my husband and my first place together. Like we've shared so many memories here from when we were dating, like the early stages of us dating, you know, because this was his place first and I moved into it, to our engagement and getting ready for our wedding. Like everything was done in this apartment, and this place just holds so many memories. Gatsby. So, you know, I figured, I read something online that was like, you want to get your stuff out of your apartment because hopefully it won't be your apartment for long anymore if you want to sell it. So, you know, why keep yourself attached? Start getting rid of your things and start picturing yourself somewhere else, because it's not going to be yours for much longer. So you should start to like remove yourself from it and, you know, start to detach, and it'll be a little bit easier for you emotionally to make the move, because moving is really stressful and it's really hard and it is so emotional. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of just trying to slowly detach, like in a sense sort of mourn in the loss of this place, because you know, Gatsby has been here, like this is our home. So I don't know, it's an emotional thing. And for those of you wondering about our house hunt, we are like in the works with a house. We have a house that accepted our offer. We did the inspection, but no contracts have been signed yet. We have not closed on the house yet, so it's not our house. So I have a hard time saying we found a house, because nothing is set in stone. You know, tomorrow something could happen and it may fall through. We've lost so many homes that I'm trying not to attach myself or get excited over something until like it's here, it's factual, it's signed and contracted, and that's that. So that's really all I'm going to say about that, because I am really stressed. We are kind of in this like stage of limbo where we have to sell our apartment, like things have to fall through, like there's still so much going on. It's almost like I feel like I'm holding my breath, you know, like I'm holding my breath and I'm waiting and I don't know what's going to happen, and it's like I can't breathe yet. Like everything has to just work out, and then I can like sigh a sigh of relief. So anyway, that's why there's so little here right now, because we've had a lot of showings. We have showings at least like every day, if not every other day. So I try not to melt or burn before people come into my home, unless it's like one thing, because you know what I like may be offensive to someone else. The only thing is like I try to see who's coming and match a scent to like what I think they would like. Like typically if I don't know who's coming or it's a couple, I'll just burn like something very light and clean, or like vanilla, but very, very light, and I'll turn it off like an hour or two before they come, just so my apartment has like some semblance of like a coziness or a fresh type of scent, but nothing overwhelming, hit you in the face. Like right now I just have this very light bakery cinnamon scent going because it's a cold rainy day and it's a comforting scent. And this is like a tiny little piece of wax. It's the only thing I have on in my kitchen. It's just kind of floating throughout the house. And that's it. But I'm going to turn off once this video is off, and then I have 2 hours before that showing happens. So anyway, oh my god, 6 minutes about that. Here, let's just get into the empties. To start, I did finish a bag of 100 tea lights. As you guys know, tea lights are my favorite way to melt wax. Tea light warmers are my hands down favorite. This is from Bed Bath & Beyond. You can see it here. It's $6. I always get this and just use a 20% on it, and I think it comes out to like $4 or $5 or something. So really cheap for 100 tea lights. I don't think they're the best. They usually, like, as you can see, this bag has like wax residue on it. They're usually a little like wax crumbles on the tea lights, and they can be messy. Like if you take them out of the bag, sometimes wax crumbles fly out all over your floor. So I just take them out of the bag and store them in an empty Bath & Body Works candle, like glass like that. And I have that one in my drawer so I can just grab a tea light and go from like a wide lit mouth and not get those wax crumbles anywhere. But for the price, I think it's worth it, and I already bought another backup from Bed Bath & Beyond. It's my favorite place to buy the tea lights from. So there's that, and then we'll get into what I melted first since there's a lot here. So let's go through Yankee. I'm just kind of burning through all my Yankees now because I don't really want to take them into a house with me, because Yankees, the votives, and the tarts lose their scent so quickly. I mean, if you wait like even a year, by a year, they'll be totally scentless. You have to just like melt them and burn them immediately. So I don't want to take any new Yankee stuff like tarts and things. Candles are fine. To the house, I want to just get rid of them now because they're not going to be scented. What's the point bringing to a house where I'm going to have even more space than I have here? If I can't smell them in this little apartment, I'm not going to smell them in a house. So I had this going yesterday. This is Yankee Candles Candy Corn, and this was super, super weak, but this was also from last year and like after the fall of last year. Super weak, but I had it in my centerpiece, and if I hovered around the centerpiece, I did get a very light, faint whiff of vanilla. Would have been a nice scent if it actually had a throw. And I'm done buying Yankee tarts. I'll buy votives now and then for my mixology, but ones that I know I'll burn immediately. But otherwise, I'm pretty done with the Yankee melts. I finished a Yankee Candle Sunset Breeze, and this was nice. It was very fresh. It was a little fruity. It was a nice, like, summery, fresh type set. I had this going in the bedroom during the day. And this is the other one. I didn't have 3, I only had 2 votives, but I had them in my mixology, and they were strong enough to smell them, but not strong enough to be like, oh wow, there's a scent in here. Just like a light, subtle background scent, which was actually fine for this type of fragrance. So this one was Autumn in the Park, and this is like an anomaly for Yankee Candle tarts because this was from last fall, and this was phenomenal. I had this in my centerpiece, and it went for a total of 3.5 days, and it scented up my entire living room all the way into my hallway. Like, this baby was pumping out the fragrance, and this is a gorgeous, fresh, crisp apple type of scent. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I've had this tart before. I've had this in the votives, and they've all thrown really well for me. I do have a tumbler of this that I have not burnt yet, but hopefully it'll do just as well as the tarts have for me, because this is like the exception to the rule. I can't believe this is a year old, and it filled up my entire apartment. I was so impressed by that. So Autumn in the Park is a winner for me. And I do think I got this for clearance at Bed Bath & Beyond too. So I was shocked that it did it as well as it did. This is a lavender and vanilla. I just had one of these. I had it in a single votive warmer in my bathroom, and it was beautiful. I really like Yankees lavender. It's a little astringent, but it's good. Crisp Morning Air. I don't remember this one. It's a very fresh and clean scent, but again, this is only one votive. I think I had this in the bathroom or the bedroom, I don't remember, but the fact that it hasn't left an impression on me whatsoever should say it all right there. Next up is another Autumn in the Park, and this is one single votive, and again, this just did really well. And I had this in my living room, which is, I have like an open living dining room area with 10-foot ceilings, so it's a really big space. And this did phenomenal in there. So the fact that even like a single votive, Autumn in the Park, is just all around a winner. So now let's get into some vendor wax that I've melted, which are only 2. There would have been more, but I had some vendor wax things that were like, maybe I burnt a little piece of, or like I burnt half of, and I ended up sending the rest to my friend Joanne. So There are some in here that like technically would have been finished this month, but I just shared them instead of finishing them for myself. So that's why they're so little vendor wax today. So one of them is Rose Girls Everything is Awesome, and I did send a chunk of this to my friend Joanne, so she had the one with the Rose Girls label. I love this scent. That's why I sent it to her, because I enjoyed it so much. I figured she would too. It's such a beautiful berry. I think it was like blackberry, raspberry, and strawberry, but it was just like a nice, it was like tart, but also a little deep. And for me, this was such a perfect transitional scent. Like, this just screamed like end of summer, early fall to me. It wasn't like too much of a rich fall type berry, but it wasn't like a sweet, juicy summer berry. It was somewhere right in the middle, and it was so strong. I mean, like, the littlest piece of a Rose Girls chunk went such a long way, and I did burn it in this 20-watt Glade warmer. I was really impressed by this one. It was the first scent from Rose Girls that I melted, and I really enjoyed it. Next here, and I do love this one. There's one little chunk in here, that's why it's still tied up, but I don't know if you'll be able to see. This is Country Lane Keepsakes. That just says Etsy, but yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it. It's all the way in here. It's her raspberry pink sugar, and I have, you can see one little chunk here that I'm gonna melt tonight. So these were in her rounds, like medallions with a flower on top of it, and I cut them into thirds. So I cut the flower off on top, and then I cut the little medallion coins in half. And a third of this wax is so strong. When I first started melting it though, it was definitely a soft background scent. And as it sat, because this has been curing for a good like maybe 2 months, last night it was so strong. Like, it was one of those scents, sometimes you go into a room and you smell it and it's strong, but then while you sit in the room, you kind of like go nose blind to it. That's something I would consider like a medium throw, because if I can't really smell it while I'm standing in there, like, and I get used to it, it can't be that strong. So that's how that one started out. But last night I was up for like an hour and a half reading before I actually fell asleep, and I could not stop smelling it. Like, every time I breathed in, I got that beautiful scent. And the pink sugar, Carol's pink sugar from Country Lane Keepsakes, is softer. Like, mostly other vendors, pink sugar is a predominant note. You don't smell anything else, but that's not the case with Carol's. Her pink sugar is very soft. It blends into the background, and whatever it's mixed with, it blends so perfectly that it becomes a totally different scent note. It's not just like pink sugar and raspberries. Like, you don't get one or the other. You get both blended into this new gorgeous scent. And my husband loved this one. It's a beautiful fragrance to sleep to. I'm gonna have to get another bag. This is just a 3-ounce, so I'm gonna have to get her next size up. I think 5 or 6. And I know everyone says paraffin you don't have to cure, but I'm gonna disagree with that, because when I melt Carol's stuff right away, her paraffin, like as soon as I get it, while I can smell it, and I only burn paraffin and tea lights, while I can smell it, it's not that strong. It's not as strong as it could be, I should say. But when I let it sit, the longer it sits for, the stronger it gets. So like, if I let it sit for 1 month, it's a little stronger. 2 months, it's even stronger. 3, 4 months, I have some of her stuff that I've had for like 4 or 5 months that like I can do a nub of a chunk, like a tiny little thing, and it will fill my apartment. I mean, it's crazy. They say not to let paraffin cure. I'm telling you, let that shit cure. If you want it strong, or even like if you want to get the most for your money, like if you want to get the most for your money and make this little bag go a long way, cure it. Because if you melt it right away, you're going to be using a whole chunk. But if you let it cure, you can be using like a third to a quarter of what you would have used if you melted it earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like, a little goes a longer way the longer you cure it. So I like to just get the most out of my money and let it sit. I have enough wax to let it cure. I have other things to melt. So I'm all about letting it cure. I love how I said, oh, this isn't going to be a long video. I don't have this much stuff. But somehow my big ass mouth, we're still at like almost 15 minutes. I'm not even halfway through. I hate myself. Anyway, Goose Creek. I was shocked that this still had, well, I shouldn't be too shocked. This is their vanilla pumpkin waffle, and this is from last year. And it was incredibly strong last year. And one little triangle lasted like 2 days, or 2 tea lights. Let me see if I can get this baby open. So I had one, and you can see all the oil kind of seeped out because I had this sitting in my storage unit for a year. So I had one triangle left. I brought it home from my storage unit. I'm like, oh, this probably has no fragrance from it. Like, clearly the oils have all leaked out. Like, I should have just thrown this away. I'm glad I didn't, because I brought it home and I put the one triangle in my centerpiece and filled up my entire apartment and lasted for 2 days. I had the centerpiece on for like the 9-hour timer. So that's 18 hours this one triangle lasted for. And again, this is a segue into why I'm not buying from Goose Creek anymore, because this was fall last year. Incredible, strong performance. This is how their fall candles did for me last year. I love their fall candles. You can go back on my channel